All right, everybody, welcome. Tonight's InStride Live will be on patient financials. Appreciate Jen and her team putting this together. Last week's InStride Live on uh, insurance information and accurate entering and classifying of your insurance plans and cards and all is taking a little while to get edited. There's a lot of HPI that needs to be retracted, but it'll be there. I'm going to ask Jen to go ahead and get started. I appreciate her help, and if she will take questions, I guess, at the end. And if you guys would all be on mute, that would be really helpful. And Jennifer, thanks very much.
Normally, any office that's going to have an interest, whether be it if you've run a report or if you're just working from your office screen, you're going to be looking at your resource schedule, and perhaps you want to see a patient balance for somebody who's on the schedule. Tonight we're not going to present that because we didn't want to have a whole bunch of patients that Dr. Hodos would have to then eliminate all the names. So I'm going to start with this blank test schedule. So what we're going to do is actually look up the patient from the patient search, which is up here at the top. Now, I have a patient in mind that had two insurances and has made patient payments, so this will kind of encompass everything that we're going to be looking at tonight. When you do a patient search, it automatically takes you to the patient hub. Anything regarding any payments, claims, insurance, patient and or otherwise, you're going to start here and find. Now, where I always start is by selecting the Account Inquiry button. In this instance, when you open up the Account Inquiry, you're going to see all claims related to this patient in this section here. And it generally defaults back to 2020. As you can see here, you're going to see the claim numbers, and when you hover over them, it's going to give you a line. The date of service is also going to give you a line, and the charges is going to give you a line. All of these lines and these hyperlinks are going to take you to the exact same place. Before we get there, if you're one who has spent a significant time in actually posting your payments previously, you're familiar with EOBs, and you can see it at a general level, I would suggest hitting this button here where it says Show CPT Payments. When you select that, it's going to break down the charges for every date of service based on the payer and the charge that was sent, what was sent out, what was paid, and what was adjusted off. One of the things I kind of wanted to point out, and I noticed with this patient, is that you don't see that breakdown in these two top charges. When you don't see a breakdown of payer payments, that means that this was a simple charge. These claims were over-the-counter items sold to this patient. So if there is no breakdown, it is a simple charge to the patient. There are obviously multiple ways to get to the payment breakdown. If you select the Medicare, it's going to take you directly to the Medicare payment. If you select the date of service, it's also going to take you to the Medicare payment. And you can do this with the primary, which this patient has Medicare as primary, and Blue Cross Blue Shield as a secondary. So you can see here that on this date of service for the 99213 charge, $67.05 was paid by Medicare. The claim then went to Blue Cross Blue Shield where nothing was paid, and then the patient paid a payment of $17.66. I'm going to take you back to the original payment, and it's arranged by date, so you realize that Medicare has paid first. This takes you to the payment itself, immediately directs you to the patient on this line item on the giant EOB. This is going to be everyone in the group included. Up here, you can actually see View ERA. Now, you've already got the patient highlighted. This will take you directly to the EOB. and then you would go find your patient from there. And it is in alphabetical order automatically. So you can scroll down here, find the patient's name, and see how they broke that down. And you would do the same with the Blue Cross Blue Shield payment, and because I've already researched this claim, they applied this entirely, the coinsurance to this claim to deductible, which is where your patient payment comes in. So this is how you would navigate to the actual EOB for each one of these payments. So as usual, there's always a ton of ways to get to the same information. For me, I'm one that likes to look up the claim itself, especially if the patient has a balance. If you select the claim number, it's going to take you directly to the claim that was submitted. We always suggest that everyone navigate to Insurances and Payment, which is right here in this blue tab. Down here, you're going to see the same thing that you saw in the patient account lookup. Here's your Medicare payment, which came first. Here's your Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it actually breaks it right down. Medicare allowed $88.29, applied $17.66 to coinsurance. Blue Cross Blue Shield applied that to the deductible, and the patient then paid $17.66. It'll give you the dates that those payments were done right here and any ID associated to it. A couple of things that are interesting or for anyone to know, E here means that it was an electronic posting. So that's these payments came in electronically and were posted in mass. You can select any of these payments, select View, and then View Detail. Takes you to the same place we were before. If you select Pay and Cancel, you go back to where you were. You can also select these payments and view any CPT and financial adjustments on that claim. In this case, because it was the Medicare, it doesn't actually show the adjustments. I apologize for that. But this is kind of a bird's eye view of how to get to the ERA, how to get to each payment right down to the patient, and this will actually show you the detail of whatever you've selected. And this shows you the patient payment that was made on that claim. One of the items that I have found interesting in a claim level are these two buttons here. Similar to what we went over with insurance adjustments, this billing logs is going to tell you who touched that claim and when. When you select billing logs, it automatically defaults to the date of service on the claim that you're looking for. However, you can also research any other date of service with this patient. I suggest to anybody the first thing you should do is number of results is as big as it gets is 30. And double check here because you need to know if you're going to need to go to another page. And this starts right from when the charges were entered. And this is no discredit to all of our providers who are entering their billing charges on that progress note. Unfortunately, it does come up with my name. So this will actually show you that the charges were entered. This is where the claim was created. It went to pending overnight once that progress note was locked. It shows that Shelley Dew reviewed the claim, and then she changed it from pending to ready to submit, and all the way up through to the end of this claim's finalization. Now, anytime you see this here, view status log, anything that's blue is a hyperlink to show you. Like in this case, change from clearinghouse accepted to insurance accepted. This is very handy for our billers, especially with Blue Cross Blue Shield, that they say we don't show a receipt of the claim. You can actually select that hyperlink, and it will give you an entire log based on gateway that says the payer acknowledged acceptance into their adjudication system. This comes in handy with our billers because if they say they didn't get it, they print this to PDF and send it and say, we show that you did, which helps us good if they say, hey, we didn't get this in a timely fashion. We can prove that it was accepted, and it gives us a control number right here. Go back into the billing logs. You can also view this from an account level. So anything that's happened on this patient's account. Again, we're going to drop our number of results down to 30 so we can limit our number of pages. And this shows us everything that's happened with this patient. And this patient actually was quite amazing. It showed from page 1 through 4 when the insurance eligibility was run, who ran it. This was a great example because the patient was set up. Their insurance eligibility was run immediately. We can review that report. The system ran it, and it'll tell you every single person. This is an office staff person. This is the call center person. This is where the system ran it. And you can actually hit on any of this eligibility, the log details, and what it said at that time by hitting report. So if you ever have a concern to say, well, at the time the patient had insurance and or didn't, you can go back historically here to review what happened on that data service and what that insurance eligibility was. So this is a full record of everything that's happened on that patient's account, especially as it relates to, insurance eligibility, which we did cover last week. We go through here, you can see where all of the electronic payments were posted, where it was crossed over. It was considered denied, primarily because it went to the patient's deductible. And then we can see where the patient's payment was then applied to the claim, which is zeroed out this claim. Additionally, if you want to follow up on a claim from your office and say, all right, there's a balance on this claim. Now, this patient in this particular claim doesn't have a balance, but our billers are required, if they touch a claim, to put in a log. Can't recreate it, but if they had, it would say the date and time, who entered it. So if Shelley had gotten a denial from Medicare, it would literally tell us, Shelley on this day put in a note right here that you can hover over, and it will tell you what she did as it relates to that claim. It's a great way for our offices to follow up on our billing department to say, all right, well, this patient still has a balance. Let's go look at the logs and see what's been done. So that's how you would look in the actual claim level to look at the insurances and payments and a history of the claim itself. The next thing I wanted to cover is you can go through here to look at all of your patient payments. This gives you a historic record of the patient payments, and if you click on any one of these, it will tell you that they paid $70, how it was paid. Obviously, we always suggest that you put a memo in to tell our staff where to apply it, and then it'll show here is your simple charge, and that they applied it, the $70 here. And how I know that there is a simple charge, because there is no appointment reason. If there's no appointment reason, that means that it was a simple charge entered in when either the patient checked in or checked out. All right, the only other sections I want to go into as far as the patient inquiry detail when we pulled up this patient's account inquiry is this left-hand section. If the patient had made a payment or the guarantor, it would show a dollar amount in here. You can see that they're blue. You can literally go to that dollar amount and say, okay, on this date of service, it will take you back to that patient payment screen. It also gives you a nice overall here as far as any insurance aging balance, where it lives. And this is great to look at. So if you wanted to scroll down in the patient's chart and say, well, she has a balance in the 61 to 90, you can then scroll down here and it'll show a dollar amount, whether it's insurance and or patient. And then you would obviously follow that same workflow to click into whether it be at the claim or the payment itself, see how things were applied, and understand why that balance is still there. Or in any case, hey, I looked at the ERA that was posted electronically, and we encourage it. It looks like the secondary posted electronically wrong, or perhaps the secondary was a paper payment in which you'll see a paper clip. Hey, it looks like somebody posted this wrong and my patient doesn't owe anything. Please send us those questions, because there is always a room for human error. Maybe they put something in that wrong box when they were manually posting it, And if you see it, I know that Courtney and her team in the, they call it the PFD, the Patient Financial Department, if you ever see anything where you feel like it was applied incorrectly, please let us know. There's a paperclip in there for secondary payments. You can look at the paper. They scan it in so you can see what the payer said. And if you have questions, absolutely reach out because, like I said, human error does exist. We try to stay on top of it. We do review it. But if you ever see anything, ask those questions. That department encourages it. And other than that, that is literally how you track a claim. You track the charges, you track the payments, how you can look up payment postings, and how you can research your claim to see what your biller is doing, when they've touched it, if they had to touch it. If there's no log, that claim paid from front to back, no problems. If we received any mail or any type of denial, anything that required that biller to touch it, you'll see it in that logs on the claim itself. And that's what I have for patient financials.
That is terrific, Jen. Thank you so very much. I think you packed a lot of stuff in there, and a review of this. I bet you pick up a couple of things on a rewatch or re-listen because there was a lot of stuff in there, and I really appreciate it very much. All right, y'all, have a great evening. I will get this edited after the previous one is done and put it up and let everybody know. And thank you again very much. Have a good night.